Last time out in the R&G British Talent Cup, we were at Donington Park, and an absolutely flying start for Clayton Edmonds as Ryan Frost took the whole shot into Redgate corner, with Ethan Sparks making up ground from a rather lowly grid position. Sparky would come down the inside into the Melbourne hairpin, challenging for second place, taking that second place and then setting his sights on Ryan Frost. It was RS Racing versus Fibertech by MLav, with the sensational rookie taking the lead ahead of Frost. Building up an advantage as the teammates battled into the chicane, with Harrison McKay fighting his way through, and championship leader Filip Sorowiak returning the serve into the chicane. Great action as always, but it came down to the final lap between Ethan Sparks and Ryan Frost, navigating the back markers as well, and Ryan Frost would take his second victory of the season going into Assen. The chase for the title is on in the R&G British Talent Cup, which takes its first trip to the Cathedral of Speed at the TT Circuit Assen, of which it is only a second ever overseas event. 14 points separate that man Filip Sorowiak from Ethan Sparks at the head of the championship. It's Sparky on pole and James Whittam. The fight is on.
Yeah, I've been chatting with these lads over the weekend. I don't normally do pundit work on this race, but I'm really looking forward to it because all keen, all wanting to make a name for themselves in racing. Most of the people in this class, the young lads in this class, are looking to make a future within MotoGP and go the route of the MotoGP at this stage in their career at least. I'm sure they'll branch out into everything, but this is the man of the moment, Ethan Sparks. A small person in this class, that is still a little bit of an advantage.
It certainly is. It's been an incredible rookie campaign for Ethan Sparks, fighting for that championship. 14 points back from Filip Sorowiak, as we mentioned. Ryan Frost still very much in that championship hunt. The form has been with Ethan Sparks. 2 wins last time out at Donington Park.
Yeah, pulled 18 points back in that Donington Park meeting where they had the three races. So yeah, very much the man of the moment.
Absolutely crucial. But then we've just discovered as well that apparently Filip Sorowiak has done the last 3 meetings of the season on a slightly bent frame. So he came to this circuit for testing just before the Brands Hatch meeting, had a massive high side, slightly injured himself.
The big fast one.
At the Ramshook, slightly hurt himself as well, but they've only just discovered a slight bend in the frame, and now they've got it fixed.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the frame is obviously a fundamental part of how the bike handles. It's the part that holds the wheels from touching each other and the engine in place. But actually, it can't have been so bent, else it would have been at a tell. More likely a small sort of a small twist or something just slightly out of line. Well, listen, it can't have been any better with a bent frame, can it?
No, exactly. And he said he's actually haven't been getting used to the bike again. So 31 points between Filip Sorowiak, Ethan Sparks and Ryan Frost, who remains a championship contender, particularly given that we have 5 races remaining. It's a triple header at Alton Park to round out the season in a couple of weeks' time. But 2 here to contend with first, and you think for so many of them it's a first visit to this circuit. It's Ethan Sparks on pole position, Peter Willis up in second place ahead of Ryan Frost, then Jack Dunnerby, Clayton Edmonds and Filip Sorowiak on the second row of the grid, Mason Foster, Harrison McKay and Jack Burrows on row 3, Ben Jalif, Dan Goodman, Lewis Mullen on row 4, Alex Rowan, Josh Raymond Jr., George Bowes on row 5, Jensen Bishop, Scott McPhee, Isaiah Devine on row 6, then comes Stan Munson, Charlie Huntingford and Dan Stevenson, and on the final row of the grid it's Josh Williams, Ben Harbick and Lily Rhodes. 24 riders ready to battle for 14 laps. And yeah, for many, it's got to be the first time here.
I was just going to say, I went round the British Talent Cup paddock. They're all packed more or less together, just out the back here, and I couldn't find one that had done anything other than a track day or a test day or just some kind of opportunity to get round the circuit. None of them actually raced here.
And the thing is, hot lapping is one thing, but racing is a whole nother, especially when the packs we've seen.
Yeah, and with these things, you've got about 45 horsepower, which isn't a lot, which means slipstream is unbelievably important. You know that. You've commentated on enough of these races. So what that does, it kind of sucks everybody back together. You can, if you stay within the pack, just like cycling, if you stay within that little peloton, you're good to go. But that takes a different technique and skill in itself when you're riding 6, 8, 10, 12 at a time.
Absolutely, you've got to be playing four-dimensional chess, basically, to try and plan your
awareness, do they call it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're sitting here talking about Filip Sorowiak, 6th on the grid. He's still very much in contention for this race. Green flag waved at the back of the field. 5 races to go in the R&G British Talent Cup for 2025. The championship fight is on. We're racing in Assen. Great start for Ethan Sparks from pole position, and Ryan Frost getting the better of Peter Willis there as well on the Fibertech by MLav machine, but it will be Sparky with the whole shot going into the first corner ahead of Frost, and then the 63 of Jack Dunnerby moving through into 3rd position as well. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle there for, I think, Filip Sorowiak.
That was Sorowiak, got on the curbs, got it sideways paint, not as grippy as the tarmac. Mistake from him.
Yeah, rare to see, but manages to survive that. Does drop 1 place behind Clayton Edmonds, although manages to carry on his way. And that is Mason Foster on the Mortimer Racing Machine trying to usurp him as well, going into Struben. But there is Sparky leading ahead of Frosty and then Dunnerby. So the Fibertech rider in an RS Racing sandwich at the moment, trying to change that as he looks towards the inside to take the lead on the opening lap.
Yeah, perfect slipstreaming, kind of move that. And just lovely, yeah, perfect. Got past him in time to get into the corner. No clash there. Back comes Sparky.
Brilliant stuff there, yeah. And so it was only a couple of corners of lead. Oh, big one coming out of Streckenval. It's one of the RS Racing, and that is it's the 64. Sorry, of no, that can't have been Clayton Edmonds, was it? Have another look at that. Hopefully we'll get a look at it. Oh, Harrison McKay, sorry.
McKay, yeah, lad from Swinderby, Lincolnshire lad.
Yeah, sorry, the leader graphic caught me out there. I thought it was the crash graphic. And so here comes Jack Dunnerby trying to take 2nd place away from Ryan Frost, and manages to do so as we head left-handed into the Ramshoek and into the timber chicane. Dunnerby now going for the lead. And you know, for all the plaudits that Ethan Sparks has had this year as the sensational rookie, Jack Dunnerby has also had a great rookie season.
Yeah, he has. And I was chatting with you earlier about him. You quite like the kid, so do I. Comes with his dad, a really nice family sort of atmosphere. They're from Ayrshire, up in Scotland, come through that Scottish mini bike championship that's the Macintosh one that's brought so many through. Good lad.
Yeah, 5-time mini moto champion is
his
Jack Dunnerby.
Stats.
Great stuff. So he's up into 2nd place now. So let's see what happened to Harrison McKay.
Front end it'll be. Yeah,
it was tucked right in behind Mason Foster there.
He was offline a little bit, wasn't he, because of that?
Probably a little bit, and
more angry than hurt.
Yeah, visibly annoyed, and you can imagine why. It's been a very emotional up and down season for Harrison McKay as Ryan Frost tries to take 2nd place back. Very, very close quarters racing as Frosty does manage to slip back through. This has given Sparks a little bit of a reprieve there, starting to build up a small advantage. And the thing is, once you lose the slipstream, it's very difficult to then try and close back up again. So this squabbling here for 2nd place could be helping Sparks a lot.
That's the word, yeah. It's difficult to get back on the slipstream of the rider in front if you are having to scrap and defend with somebody right at the side of you.
Sorowiak right in behind there as well. That red machine, the number 75 with the red and yellow leathers. We've got the Northern Talent Cup racing with us this weekend here as well. And of course, Philip wildcarded there in Brno. So I'm chatting with a few of the friends he made over there.
Yeah, the beauty of that is they're all on all the Talent Cups on exactly the same 250cc Hondas. Exactly the same chassis, exactly the same power, about 45 brake horsepower. So it is possible to sort of switch to different championships and get experience.
It's great stuff, and so it's Sparks who leads at the end of lap number 2. Here comes Dunnerby again, this time into the first corner. Didn't quite manage to draw up alongside Ryan Frost there. And so it is a 1/4 of a second Sparks advantage. And look at Mason Foster taking 4th position away from Filip Sorowiak. So that's the Mortimer Racing Machine that has usurped the championship leader and is now falling into the clutches of Clayton Edmonds as well. The yellow helmet there, the Dayglow yellow of Clayton Edmonds. Very easy to spot in the pack.
Perfect for your leader, Ethan Sparks. This is exactly where he wants his championship rival Filip Sorowiak to be, getting beaten up basically.
Sorowiak going straight back through. This is how the championship would look if it were to end right now, but that's Sorowiak back through into 4th position ahead of Mason Foster. So it's chopping and changing constantly, but it is 6 riders very much in this lead pack before we get into the likes of Peter Willis, George Burrows, Scott McPhee in there as well, and Ben Jaliff inside the top 10. So everyone's keeping it very well behaved at the moment, and we have seen it kicks off a little bit towards the end of the races. We all remember at Thruxton, we had a very dramatic final corner there with 2 of the riders falling out of the race right at the end.
Same at Donington. There was a big dust up on the last lap. Generally is when that many ride. When you're together in the group using the slipstream, it's not that difficult to stay with the group if you want to just sit there. What you've got to... Oh, hang on.
That's Sorowiak going well wide. Yeah. Well wide out of the Ramshook, and Frosty having to go all the way around the outside of Jack Dunnerby, but he's got great speed out of the chicane, and so at the start of lap number 4, it's only a 1/10.5 between himself and Sparks, and he's definitely got very close company now.
Yeah, just remember that Assen is one of the very modern GP style circuits where they've got a lot of hard runoff. You can see that on the outside. It's not just straight onto grass. You've typically got painted areas, then extra tarmac so you can run off. If you do run off, however, and you go across the painted curbs and onto the green painted sections, then you will be penalised.
That's why it's quite different to most of the British tracks,
completely,
where it's lined by mostly grass and gravel.
Yeah, I mean, they've done it mainly for cars, actually, but it does make sense for bikes in terms of sort of the fact that you can run off and not end up upside down. Here we go. That's great move by Ryan Frost. He's a brave little fella, he is.
He certainly is, and Sparks again coming straight back at him, like we saw on the opening lap. Just about managed to keep it in. Look at Dunnerby, had some momentum there, wasn't really able to do anything with it, and so that's opened up the door for Mason Foster to come through into 3rd position and outbreak him on the outside. Yep. Very nicely done.
Yeah, he got a little bit flustered there, did Ryan Frost, didn't he?
Yeah, did manage to open up the door. You see that Dunnerby lost position as a result of that as well. And so it is 3 different teams inside the top 3 at the moment. RS Racing, MLAV and the Mortimer Racing squad. Great competition again as Dunnerby tries to retake that place into the Ramshook, but can't do anything there. Look at Frosty here on the inside. Oh, not late enough on the brakes though into the Timmer chicane. Sparky's got that one covered.
Yeah, but you know what? Might be a little bit of a practice that. You're going to need to have something in your back pocket for the last lap.
True.
Just maybe if you've got a good run round Ramshook, because that's the passes at the chicane start 2 corners before that. Building, especially on these little capacity slower bikes, you've got to build it up.
Dunnerby back through into 3rd position ahead of Mason Foster. Foster trying to go back through into the Usserbrucken, but nothing doing. And Dunnerby back into a podium spot down here at Struben, and then onto the Veenslang for the fastest point on the racetrack before we tip it right-handed into the Ruschenhoek, where we've seen some great racing already today across the various series, and even here in the British Talent Cup, only on lap 5 of 14. They're long races, these.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Look at that, Sorowiak and Sparks tied on points.
Yep.
If it to end like this. To think Sorowiak had a more than 30 points
lead
just a few races ago. Yep. Astonishing.
Yep. The high water mark was that.
Oh, rain flag out there.
That is in on that. That's a sector flag. That it doesn't have to exist around the whole track. That's to let the riders know where the marshals believe rain is falling. Well, and that's honestly, that's terrible. That you kind of mind. You come into a section, you see that, you think, well, it's going to be wet, and you don't know how much to slow down.
So it's raining at the Ruschenhoek and the Ramshook.
Yeah, so that's at the far side, but over towards the kind of west, is that?
Yeah, so that's 6 and 7, and at turn 15. At this part of the racetrack they're coming up to now, actually, I can't imagine a scarier corner to start having rain on slick tyres.
Yeah, me neither. I've crashed there in the wet, and it's even in the pouring rain with wets on, it's a really fast corner. What they'll do is, on those corners where the flags are out, they won't be using any paint. You don't want to get them to damp painted area, so all the curbings you'll be trying to avoid as soon as any rain comes.
Well, at Brands Hatch we had 2 rain-interrupted races. You see a spot on the camera lens there, in fact, now actually. It was Ethan Sparks who came out on top in both of those races that were red flagged just after the 2/3 distance, so full points were awarded in both of those.
Yeah, you want to win, you want to keep going in the wet, you want to push on, you don't want to make a mistake, however, and it's difficult to know if you're at the front how fast to go. Sometimes a little bit easier to sit in the slipstream and just let the other person make the mistakes.
That's true, because then you can sort of gauge what's happening in front of you, right?
Exactly that. Yeah, he goes rushing into a corner. You think, right, I'll see what happens there. You can kind of gain confidence from his bravery.
Well, Frosty again being very brave through 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And again, Sparky, well, I actually didn't manage to make it work. I thought he was about to pounce back up the inside, as we've seen him do on 2 occasions so far in this race. Frosty now has a lead. Again, Sparks tries to take it back again, but this is the longest that Frost has been able to hold this for now.
They're fairly confident on some of the corners because they're using a little bit of curbing, and they wouldn't be doing that if they thought you were damp, because you'd be down immediately. Less grip on the paint than on the tarmac.
Yeah, I know the FIM and indeed does the FIA put an awful lot into sort of high abrasion paints these days, don't they, to try and make it a little bit safer.
And it is, and I'm sure that is the case. But I'm telling you, you sat on a motorbike, the pitfalls are a lot more severe than on a car where you might have a spin. These are going to be down the road.
Soroviak going on the inside of Jack Danaby into the timber chicane for 3rd position, so that's where some of the rain has been falling. Very brave move there from the championship leader. We're only just coming up to half race distance now at the start of lap number 7, and Danaby got straight back through on the inside for 3rd.
Yeah, it looks like the rain stopped, I think.
The flags are still waving out there on the start and finish straight. We've got a good view of the LED boards, and indeed one of the marshals just directly in front of us.
You're right.
Still holding those out there. So the warning's still being given, but probably more sort of psychological rain more than anything else. It's very, very light.
Yeah, you're right. Light board still displaying that rain falling in that sector. And you're right, it is mental rain, but then mental rain swaps to real rain and real lack of grip very quickly.
That's very true. Where the lead changed hands a lap ago, it changes again, this time with Sparks going back through on the inside. Retakes at the head of the field as we're nudging half race distance. Oh, that was Foster getting out a little bit wider than he probably would have wanted to be onto the curbing. So he's in 4th position there with Soroviak and Edmonds for very close company. And then is that Burrows who's joined this party as well? Yes, so it's actually a 7 bike train now for the lead.
Yep. Jack Burrows, Northern Irish lad from Dungannon. Family's been involved in racing for a long time on that Burrows Racing RK Honda. Real old classic racing family is that, roads and short circuits.
Frosty into the Ramshook, takes the lead back again. So, he's gone wide though onto the green stuff, and that's probably a bit sketchy.
Yeah, the race controller will be looking at that. If he keeps doing that, there will be a penalty in terms of a time given to him.
I'm sure just a little bit caught out, the slightly narrower line he was having to take there to get the move done. It's probably a bit moot though, because Sparks comes straight back through. Lovely undercut though from Ryan Frost, and so heading into the right-handed kink at the Magic, he goes back through. So how many lead changes is that now? I've already lost count. Plenty more than we need to worry about. Oh, Danaby now going for a move into Struben on Sparks, and Danaby now takes over 2nd place in this race.
A little bit of a block past that. You can get in there and pass your man, but that slows everybody up mid-corner. That just gave a little bit of an advantage to Ryan Frost, and you can see with that little gap.
Yeah, just small margins as Sparks manages to out-drag Danaby. A little pocket rocket. And Soroviak takes advantage of that as well. Runs out a little bit wider though, and so Danaby should be able to come back through. No, in fact, it's Mason Foster who's the aggressor behind him. That doesn't quite work out for him. So it's Frost, Sparks, Soroviak, Danaby and Foster inside the top 5. For how long though? Because Sparks wants that lead back.
Yeah, there's a minimum weight for these bike and rider, because some of the riders are really small, a lot lighter than some others. and to make it a little bit more equal as a minimum weight for the bike and ride, 148 kilos, but they don't want to load there's a limit to that because they don't want to have the lightest, smallest riders with the heaviest bikes. So there's still about a 12 kilo advantage for Ethan Sparks over Sorowiak.
Makes all the difference in terms of lap time. Yeah, absolutely. Sparks going for the lead on the inside at the Timmer chicane. Ran out a little bit wider than Frosty did, but manages to get it very nicely done. Frosty coming straight back at him, side by side, down the start-finish straight.
But that's a cutback. You're going quicker, you gain a little bit of time, but you lose twice that time coming out because you haven't got the slingshot onto the start-finish.
Well, Sparks was able to hang on to the advantage going into the first corner at the start of lap number 9. Battle on again. It was these two fighting for the win in race 3 at Donington Park. That came down to the final lap, though they were out there by themselves. Suddenly, they've actually got 5 more riders to think about.
I mean, it's a brilliant race, but this is what we want to see. The 3 rivals for the championship battling for the win in the race. This is perfect.
Yeah, top 3 in the championship. Line astern in the order, in the top 3, not necessarily in that order. Yeah. But still great stuff here as again Frosty looks to the inside. He likes this manoeuvre into the kink at 6, doesn't he?
Yeah, it doesn't. The difference between the big bikes and these into there, they're still tucked in. That's such a fast corner. They're still tucked in out the wind, trying to get every little bit of speed that they can out of those bikes because it's flat. On a big bike, that's a corner. They sit up, they stick the knee out, they turn in as if it's a corner because they're arriving there so much quicker.
5 points the advantage for Sorowiak it would be if it were to finish like this.
Do you think he's going to finish like this?
I've got a feeling that in about 5 laps time it will look very, very different.
I think in about 5 meters time it's going to look different.
It's very true. It's great battling again here in the R&G British Talent Cup. It is, what, half a second that separates the top 7 at the moment. Great stuff again. And so Frosty holds the advantage for now on the Fibertech by MLab Racing machine. Sparks trying to deny him in second. Frost going for a 3rd win of the season. And Sparks so late on the brakes into the Timmer chicane. Surely, yeah, it does run out a little bit wider there, and the cutback for Frost is even bigger this time.
Perfect example, that. Yep, from the aerial shot.
Great to see, and we are now at the 2/3 race distance. If we do get more rain, it will be full points awarded as Frost goes back through into the lead at the start of lap 10 on Sparks.
Also with these small capacity bikes and low power, like I said, about 45 horsepower, if you make a mistake coming out of a corner, especially onto a straight, you are suffering the whole way down that straight. Not necessarily the case with super bikes. You can make a mistake, get a slide, but you've got so much power, you're straight back on it. Not with these.
Dunnerby again with a dive into Struben and pushes Sparks out onto the curbing there a little bit, side by side between the 2 RS Team Cavara Projects machines. And look at that, so much speed down the straight that they've swallowed up Ryan Frost there a little bit. Sparks has got so much speed. Again, we've been talking about this all season. He tucks in so tight. Yeah. He's got so much speed on the straight.
There's 2 things there. Coming out of Struben, he has a little bit less weight to carry, so the bike will want to accelerate slightly quicker, but also smaller. So look how he disappears. His head's the only thing sticking out, whereas a bigger rider, Sorowiak, a little bit Ryan Frost, their elbows are out, their shoulders are out. That makes a big difference once the speed increases up to 120 miles an hour. Then you're talking about wind resistance then.
Now, of course, we're talking about riders at age 14 through to 17.
Yep.
You tend to change a lot in those ages as well. So we've got a real mix of different, I guess, body types, and sizes and heights, everything.
They used to call it growth spurts, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. I think Sparky's yet to have his yet.
Yeah, yep. Ethan Sparks, 14-year-old, and when you consider that 2 years at this age group, is a big difference sometimes.
Absolutely massive, as again he goes down the inside. And again, dress rehearsal for the final lap. Oh, very close with Frost, but look, squirming over the curb.
I think Frost has a little bit of a plan there. As
that's Sorowiak on the inside, trying to take second place, can't do it. So Frost, with good momentum out of the first corner there, cuts it in very, very nicely, but doesn't quite manage to get on the inside of Sparks. But yeah, that dress rehearsal for that final chicane. But he knows that he probably can't out-drag him to the checkered flag.
I think he probably knows that. Not on the line he had. Maybe he'll be hoping that Sparky's going to make a mistake going in. Maybe push him, push him somewhere. And then he might be cleverer than we think. He might be just doing these kind of dress rehearsals, and it's the other thing he's going to do. You know, you can throw a curveball in sometimes. Depends what he's thinking. And it depends where he thinks.
Red flag, unfortunately, for conditions. And so that is going to be the result
and it is
declared.
Look at that.
Yeah, you can see it really has changed all of a sudden. I was about to say the rain has moved sort of more southwest towards Mandeville, but it seems like race control is not happy with the conditions, and so the result is declared, and that should be Sparks with a 5th win of the season.
Yeah, do you know what? That was a good call, because if it's raining on one part of the course and it's got really wet on one part of the course, you would never know. The pack of 8 would arrive there at full pace, and half of them would have gone down the road. Good call.
You can see it really is starting to come down. It's changed ever so suddenly, and timing screen just updating itself. So it won't be Burrows that's been given the win, but believe it should be Ethan Sparks based off that previous lap.
I think Ethan Sparks and then Frost, I think, across the line.
Should be, with Soroviak 3rd. We'll get confirmation of that. What we can say with some confidence, though, is that it will be even closer in the championship.
Yes, there will be some points pulled back. We just don't know how many yet.
Yeah, quite. But once again, it seems that for Sparks, it is a race win due to a red flag because of the weather, as we saw twice at Brands Hatch.
You know, swift action on the part of race control is brilliant, and that was the example. They are getting reports the whole time from the sector marshal. So one marshal in that marshal's post that might have 4 or 5 marshals in it, and there's several of them obviously around the track, will be reporting back on conditions at that point of the track. And it was a good call with that.
Oh, Ryan Frost is the first one to get into Parc Ferme. It's 2nd place for the Fibertech by MLAV rider. It should be his 9th podium of the season, including 2 wins, including last time out at Donington Park. Filip Soroviak arriving with a bit less gusto as he pulls the bike into Parc Ferme. Well, slightly dejected thumbs up there, really. I'm sure he's disappointed with that one.
Yeah, and you're disappointed when, I mean, I'm sure they'd agree that it's a right call from race control. You don't want a dangerous race. You don't want any of your colleagues to be slipping off. However, I think he would be thinking if it had run to the end in dry conditions, he would have had a chance there.
Oh, I'm sure, but that is that's the luck of the draw sometimes, isn't it? That is what happens in motor racing. I hope Sparks either knows where he needs to park or hasn't had some sort of calamity on the way back to the pits, because I haven't actually seen him. Hasn't pulled into Parc Ferme yet. I'm sure people are. There he is.
There's his bike.
Yeah.
There he is. Yep.
Okay. Well, it will be a 5th win of the season, and to think that he's now 1 behind Filip Soroviak in terms of wins for this season. When we left Snetterton, for example, and Filip had won, 4 out of the first 5 races. Oh, actually, no, sorry, 5 out of the first 6 races. We didn't think that this would happen. Suddenly there'd be someone close to him in terms of not just points, but the wins as well. It's a much more competitive second half of the season than we expected after a very strong start to the campaign for Soroviak.
That's how bike racing goes.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And I'm sure it must help. We go to a couple of venues twice, don't we? So for these rookies, they go back to a venue they're a bit more familiar with. But again, we've seen here a brand new venue.
Yeah.
And it is Ethan Sparks then with the victory. Ryan Frost and Filip Soroviak on the podium. Jack Dunnerby and Jack Burrows inside the top 5. Mason Foster, Clayton Edmonds, Scott McPhee, Peter Willis and Josh Raymond Jr. inside the top 10. I can assure you they did absolutely finish, with Ben Jalif, Alexander Rowe and George Bowes, Lewis Munnan and Dan Goodman completing the points-paying positions. Zara Devine just outside that one. Jensen Bishop, Stan Munson, Charlie Huntingford and Dan Stevenson completing the top 20. And so it is 5 points the advantage for Filip Soroviak over Ethan Sparks. With 4 races to go, Ryan Frost remains a contender, 27 points back. And don't forget that the triple header in Oulton Park should keep things interesting as well. But with 4 rounds to go, it is anybody's game for the title.
Filip Sorowiak, it looked like you had a plan there. Rain stopped play though. Did you have a plan for the end of the race? Could you have took it to them?
Yeah, I felt really strong on the brakes, and to be honest, yeah, I was just kind of waiting for the laps to go down. I was just sitting in third, letting the two riders in front battle it out, and yeah, my plan was to attack final couple of laps, but obviously the rain had different ideas, but nevertheless, it's another podium, so no, I'm still quite happy.
Great performance in another race tomorrow. Wish you the best of luck for that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, in second place then, just about to wander in, Ryan Frost. There he comes. Ryan looking super strong then. You were having none of that Ethan Sparks malarkey. Every time he passed you passed him back. Looking super strong. Rain stopped play though.
Yeah, it felt like another round of Brands Hatch, to be honest. We was just going to wait till the end, make a few moves, but rookie mistake on my part. I didn't really see the rain coming in from the earlier laps, but no, another good race, closing into the lead on the championship, so we're going to be heading in tomorrow with a strong head.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for that one. We'll see you on the podium.
Thank you very much.
Right then, here it comes. Your race one winner, Ethan Sparks. Ethan, looked like you had that under control. I said to the other guys, the rain stopped play. You were in the lead when it did, so the winner is for you.
Yeah, I knew I had to lead off of like every lap, so I tried to stay in front of Ryan as much as I could for almost every lap. Obviously, the rain started coming down a little bit heavier, so that time I definitely knew I had to lead across the line, because then obviously when we came back round, it was red flag. So it was a good call from me, and I'm happy that I did it. So yeah, it was a really good race.
A little master of racecraft already. Fair play. Well done on your win.
Thank you.
Up to the podium for the first race of the weekend for the R&G British Talent Cup. 4 races remain, including, of course, the second race here in this first visit to Assen for this championship, and a triple header at Oulton Park on the 4th and 5th of October. We'll round out the campaign, and it's our top 3 in the championship who make it to the rostrum. You can see conditions are deteriorating here at Assen. That should make the rest of the day slightly interesting, but the umbrellas and the raincoats are the order of the day. Luckily, there is some shelter in the grandstand, which is very nicely packed for this British Superbike weekend here in Assen. We're just waiting for the riders to make their way to the podium, and it will be a 9th podium finish of the season for Ryan Frost in second position. You see the entourage is ready to snap the photos. Where are we at for Sorowiak? It is an 11th podium to the rostrum for Sorowiak. Had 3 on the bounce in Donington Park, plus 2 wins at Thruxton, so it's a 6th consecutive visit to the podium for our championship leader, but his advantage in the standings continues to be eroded. 4 races ago it was 32 points, now it is just 5. Team Cavara projects, waiting to see their boy on the top step. Of course, the city lifting team also run by the RS squad. It's the MLAV machine that splits them. There is Sorowiak, the 11th podium of the season, a 6th on the bounce. Ryan Frost, a 9th podium finish of the season, still 3rd in the championship, but closes in by 4 points to Filip Sorowiak. But for the 5th time in this sensational rookie season in the R&G British Talent Cup, Ethan Sparks takes to the top step. And look at the difference between him and the 2 chaps either side of him. That sensational 14-year-old who continues to rewrite the playbook in terms of what's possible in this championship for young riders. Certainly a very bright future ahead, regardless of which way the championship goes at Oulton Park. There is the winner's trophy, the R&G representative handing the winner's trophy to Ethan Sparks, who has taken a 3rd win and a red flag, but we're looking forward to race 2 tomorrow. So race 1 at Assen for the R&G British Talent Cup. A first visit to the Netherlands, but a cracking battle ensued between Ethan Sparks and Ryan Frost. Frosty liked the move into the Russian hook at turn 6, with Sparks more often than not taking him straight back into Streckenval. We saw a fall early on for Harrison McKay, the RS Racing rider, going down in the opening stages of the race, very disappointed with himself. Frost again challenged on the inside into turn 6, with Sparks fighting back. And a great battle between the City Lift, the Kavara projects and the Fibertech by MLAV rider, with Filip Sorowiak fighting for the podium as well. But then we saw a red flag for the rain that had arrived, and that would make it a 5th victory of the season for Ethan Sparks.